All right, welcome everyone to Networking Like a Pro. So this week we're going to look at all the different networking options that are out there and how to maximize your ability and your time. So just by a quick raise of hands, I got to do a gallery view here. Who thinks it's okay to network at a funeral? And take two real quick questions as to why or why not, and think about what networking it actually is. So just raise your hands. Who thinks it's okay to network at a funeral? You can raise, it's okay. It's not a right or wrong answer. So those of you who did not raise your hand, why not? Bernadette?
It's insensitive. I think it's insensitive.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an appropriate atmosphere for business, I don't think.
Okay. And so what in your mind is networking?
For me, it would be joining a club or a social organization that you actually have a genuine interest in, not to go there just to get leads or make connections. You actually have to want to be doing what you're doing in that networking environment.
Okay. And Marsha, you raised your hand. Why do you think it's okay to network at a funeral?
Well, I see networking is just saying hi to people and making connections and not doing it offensively, just saying hello to people. And if you do it nicely, you're still networking. That's how I see networking.
All right. So let me, before I get into my answer as why it is okay to network at a funeral, let's dive into what networking actually is. So networking is an opportunity to meet someone and be a part of someone's life and make an impact. So why I think networking is okay to network at a funeral is because just by showing up and being a part of that person's life or their family's life is networking. It's the opportunity that they're going to remember. You showed up in my time of need, and you're not talking about business. You're not saying, hey, I want to, buy or sell from you, or I want you to buy or sell from me. You are just showing up for them. You're just there. They see you, you're having a quick conversation, offering condolences, and they're going to remember you. And then next time you talk to them, now it's just another level of connection that you have. So when you're thinking of networking, it's a little bit more. And Bernadette, when I asked that question, 9 times out of 10, that's the same answer. So it's, people are, they have a perception of what networking is, and it's talking about business, and it's promoting yourself, and that's the mentality that we kind of want to change today. So networking is really, as I said, the key is to get out there and just meet people. There's many different types of networking. There's business networking, community service networking, social group networking, social media networking, and then what I like to call pop-up networking. And we're going to dive into each one of those right now. And if you have any questions, just raise your hand. You can stop me at any point. This is something I'm very familiar with. It's something that I've built, a couple businesses off of doing. So this is kind of my forte.
Rob, I'd say probably most people didn't raise their hands because I think they kind of intertwine prospecting versus networking. So maybe that's probably why most people don't think it's right to network, but I think they're thinking more so that it's prospecting now.
Yeah, potentially. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely, networking is a little bit more broad. Prospecting is a little more specific. Prospecting is the specific act of going out and getting business. So that's what prospecting is. Networking is building a relationship with as many people as you can in hopes that they're either going to buy or sell from you or become a referral source for you. And as I said, this is more about the relationship build, and prospect is more about the direct act. Now, both go hand in hand. So in certain type of networking groups, like we're going to go over in a couple minutes, it is prospecting because you're specifically there to get business. So that would be a prospecting effort within the networking group. Does that kind of answer that statement, Colleen? Okay. So business networking. All right, did I go over this one? Yeah. Business networking. So this is any group that is primarily purpose is to conduct business and get business. So this would include your BNIs, so it's Business Networking International. There are Pinnacle Networks, Chamber of Commerce, mastermind groups are kind of like mini, you're pretty much taking your sphere of people that you meet in these other groups and you're saying, let's meet up and have kind of a mastermind group to kind of help each other's businesses grow and develop. Board of Realtors can be, their events can be something, especially if you're going into the, recruiting phase of what Exit offers. Your Board of Realtors is a great place to go and start networking with other agents. The Women's in Business Network, We Are Vero event. These are all opportunities where you get to have face-to-face interactions with business owners. How do you maximize these kind of groups? Well, first and foremost, you're going to see a common theme in all of these is you have to show up and you have to be there on a consistent basis. All these groups are about staying top of mind or getting top of mind of these people. So with BNI specifically, your real goal is to pass referrals. So instead of
What's
thinking
BNI?
I'm Business Networking International.
Okay, sorry. Didn't know
You're
that.
fine. So it's a group that you're meeting with like-minded professionals that are looking to grow their business, but really what their primary focus and the successful ones really think is I have a person for everything I need now. So they're really going in with the mentality of this is more of how can I offer my clients and my people, a good referral and a source of trust. And in return, they're going to want to help me grow my business. So by me passing referrals to them, they're going to want to pass referrals back. That's the mentality of these kind of groups. So when I go to BNI, a lot of you guys have asked me for, different types of things like contractors, referral network, whatever you need. These are primarily where I get those people that I've known, because you're with the same people every week. They get to know you, they see your face, you see their face, you hear what they're looking for. And it's just a top of mind mentality. The best way to do most, because you only get about 60 seconds in these meetings to have a nice little elevator pitch. So what you really want to do is set up one-to-ones with the people you really want to meet with and network with. So, set up a coffee meeting, you set up 2 of them. So you set up one to focus on their business and one to focus on your business. So always let them go first. You kind of just make it all about them on the first one. And then once you get to the second one, then you get to talk about you, what you're looking for, and specifics of your business and how you operate and kind of what sets you apart. You always want to listen more than you talk, especially initially. This is just a key to pretty much any networking. You want to find commonalities so you can control the conversation and you can control the direction you want the conversations to go. A lot of people are going to start talking about, the Pats Bucks game. That's not going to benefit you. And so, yeah, you can touch on it. You can say, yeah, I'm a fan of the Patriots or I'm a fan of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But at the end of the day, if you spend the whole hour or whatever together talking about that, you get no business done. You don't understand what they're doing. They're not understanding what you're doing. So you want to keep it very business oriented. So keep the rapport short, find some quick little commonalities, but you want to focus on what they do. They want to focus on what you do. And that's how you kind of maximize that relationship. This is all about business. You can build friendships out of it, but you really want to establish the business connection first and the friendship second. That's kind of a little bit of a difference in these kind of groups. As I said, giver's game mentality. Seek out opportunities to speak in public. So in the group, you have, a lot of times you'll have 60 seconds or a minute, or even just a quick introduction. Have it planned out. Have something very, very specific that you want to ask for, and also have a little anecdote or story about how you help someone. And only, as I said, take 30 seconds. Don't drone on because they don't listen past that a lot of times. So if the group says you have 60 seconds and you go on for a minute and a half, they stop listening at 60 seconds. I guarantee you, no one's going to hear anything after that. So, just make sure you're being respectful of those groups' time limits and constraints, and make sure you're quick and to the point go for a leadership role. So, you know, if you can get in one of those groups, make sure you're, you know, president, vice president, secretary, something that gets you more in front of those groups at a longer period of time. And make the group a priority. Think of it as your sales staff. So if it's a weekly meeting, show up to the meeting, be prepared, and think about how if there's 20 people that go to that meeting on a weekly basis, think of them as a 20-person sales staff for you and your business. And that's how you want to treat it. It's an important meeting to go to. And so really, besides family emergencies, you need to show up and you need to be prepared for it on a weekly basis. So this one is, sorry, the faces are in the way. All right, so how to maximize the larger rooms, such as like a chamber of commerce or some of those kind of networking groups. You want to work the room. So these are really quick conversations you have with people that you want to make sure are impactful. So you really want to have a killer 15 to 30-second elevator pitch that'll leave an impact. You want to get a little bit what they want to do. You want to collect the business card. So here, this is where you want to control the follow-up process and always have a follow-up process on these kind of things. So your goal should be to meet 15 new contacts that you can follow up with after this meeting. These are very, very high kind of like as a quick bing, bang, boom. You're having a conversation, you're getting to know what they do in a very quick fashion, you're moving on to the next person. You definitely don't want to get into a conversation, as we said, again, with the Pats or whatever, that's going to take up half of the networking group's time, because you're just not going to hit who you want to hit. And then this group will never be this is a really good group for like an eye, because eyes love working rooms. They love going around, shaking hands, you know, being, you know, involved with as many people as possible. But you want to make it, if you're not an eye and it doesn't come naturally to you, you need to make a consistent and conscious effort to make sure that you are meeting as many people at these kind of events as possible. This is all about numbers, because you're not going to have the long time to get to know someone, and it's not consistent every single meeting of the same people. You usually got 50, 60 people in the room, and you just want to get through as many of them as possible, get their contact and follow-ups and schedule follow-ups with the people that you really are interested in getting to know at a deeper level. So that's the key. Yep.
Can you give an example of your 15-second speech?
Sure. Well, it depends on what I'm talking about that day, whether it's insurance, real estate, or recruiting.
Real estate.
But for real estate, I would say, you know, I'm Rob McCallum with Exit Right Realty. One thing that we do really differently is we put the humanistic touch back into the real estate process, and we really care about our clients, their needs, and what they're looking to accomplish. So if you know anyone that respects that kind of level of commitment to them, I would love to have a conversation with them. And then you can follow up and say something like, I would love to sit down further with you and talk about more in depth of what we do and how we can help, you know, you or anyone that you know. So that would be an example of something I would say at one of these meetings. Does that help you?
Okay.
All right.
Rob, also, I don't know if you want to say it at the end, but also tell like the return you have the business you have received from doing these groups.
Sure. So I'm more of an SC with a little bit of I and a little bit of D in me. So the ones that really work best for me are the BNIs and the ones that are very consistent. So you know, and then the next one that we're going to talk about is the service organization clubs. So I'm heavily involved in Rotary. The Chamber of Commerce's and whatnot have never done a lot for me, but they do a lot for a lot of people. And you know, this is how it's done. This is just, for me, this is too impersonal. So it doesn't really give me a good solid, you know, workup of someone that I really want to know and get to know. So I'd much rather the B&Is and the stuff that I get to see someone over and over every week, develop the relationship. That's the stuff that I'm really interested in doing. This can work that way. It's just a little bit more laborsome to do that, and you meet a lot more people, so you kind of have to sift through a lot more things. But the results that I get, I mean, I've built now 2 businesses off pretty much B&I and Rotary. That's how I've done my primary businesses, of how I've met people. And you really are looking for the goose and not the egg. So that means you're looking for the entity that's going to provide you a bunch of eggs, which are the leads, which then turn into, clients. So that's really what, I've built my businesses off of, is all this good stuff. But B&I and Rotary are kind of my bread and butter of where I go and what I do. And I focus the most amount of time on. Does that answer your question, Colleen?
But you've gotten like a few listings just from this, and you've gotten a few clients, and
So you want the specifics?
yes.
So B&I this year, I've been in for about just under a year, and I've got 4 listings and 1 buyer client from it. So this stuff definitely works. And Rotary, we've gotten a few agents that have come to us on Rotary. Deb Avery is a good example. And she's gotten, I think, 4 clients just out of the Rotary group alone. So so it works. So that's just this year. And I mean, over my 9-year career in both, I mean, I don't have the exact numbers of what that has been worth, but over $100,000 for sure. All right. So this is the next one, is the community service networking. So these are groups or clubs where your primary focus is actually service. It's not business. You're still meeting with these people on a consistent basis. You have other things you can do, but you're connecting with people's passions. So, for instance, Kiwanis, actually that's K-I-W, so I apologize for that, not K-A-W. But Kiwanis Lions, Masons groups, all of these are service first. And some of them you're not even allowed to talk about business during the meetings, but this how I'll show you how to circumvent that in a second. But what you're really doing is you're connecting on a different level with people, because say their favorite cause is, saving the pandas in the world or whatnot, and you're joining in on that. Now you guys are connected at that level, and they already know and now like you, and chances are they're going to trust you real quick. And those are the 3 major entities that you need to be able to sell them something in the future. So they're going to come to you first as soon as they know that you're in real estate. So how you maximize service groups is, again, show up, get involved. So if you're not there, they're not going to think of you. You're not going to be developing those relationships, and it's going to be very, very hard to get business out of it. Pick a service club that works with a particular passion of yours. So we got tons of them in Vero Beach, and a bunch of them in Melbourne. So wherever your passion is, if they don't have that specific one, I know Rotary specifically, you can pretty much get involved. Excuse me, my throat's dry. You can get involved and actually start the charity and get that going in that local club if they don't have it. So consistency is key. You want to make sure you're there as much as you possibly can be, and you want to make sure you're getting involved in a lot. What's naturally going to happen is when you're in these service projects outside of the group meetings that you might have, is you're going to start talking to people. They're going to ask you, what do you do? What's your family like? What's your background? And you're going to get into these conversations. And as soon as you say real estate, people love talking about real estate. So it gives you a chance to kind of promote what you do, who you are, how you do it. And because they're already connected with a passion project with you, they're going to want to see you succeed. And that's going to lead to business. So that's really how you maximize the service group and make it work for your business. But you have to genuinely be there for the service work. You don't want to join these clubs because you're hoping to get business out of it, because then they're going to sense that it's not going to work out. I've seen that happen a bunch of times, and those people are generally asked to leave those groups. As I said, don't be pushy about what you do. It will come naturally. The one thing about service groups is they're going to ask you to get involved in every single project that that group offers. You have to be good at saying, I really can't do that, and just get involved in the ones that you want to get involved in, because you can become overly involved very, very quickly. And it takes a lot of your time and energy. So make sure that, you have what you're going to dedicate to those groups, how you're going to do it, and your kind of your time frame and what you want to get involved with, because they will ask you to get involved in everything. All right. Social service groups. So these are any groups that meet for a specific cause. So political affiliation groups, fundraising campaigns, church groups, those kind of things. This isn't something that that I really have gotten involved with, but I know that it can definitely be very, very, it works the same as the other ones. You're meeting on a consistent basis. You are, trying to get involved on a higher level. But these are all groups that, you're not there for business specifically, but you're usually in the room with other very big or powerful business people that have very large connections, and probably can benefit from your connections as well. So these are the ones that you want to get involved with if this is something that you're interested in. These are just some other groups, and how you maximize that. Again, get involved and be visible. Anything you do in networking is going to be revolving around you getting involved as much as possible, and at a high visibility points as possible. Become a leader of that group. A lot of times those groups need treasurers, secretaries, schedulers, front desk people that check in at those events, whatever it ends up being. You want to try to get involved and become a leader. Be genuine in your efforts about the cause. So, if it's your church, make sure you're there because that's the religion that you want to practice, and, make sure it's not there for business reasons. And try to engage in conversations with the group, to find those common grounds. So what are they into outside of church? What are some types of things that they like? The golfers or the tennis players, whatever, and try to find those common grounds and connect with them, and then and try to get in touch with them on the outside. All right, social media. So this is a really big topic, but this is a whole nother PowerPoint that we've done before. And so it really takes a whole kind of half hour to an hour to kind of go over this, but it's really the lowdown of social media is you want to build your audience, engage your audience. You want to get them as much discussion and education as possible. You have to do videos if you really want to maximize it. If it's not interviews of you on there, you want to make sure you're putting videos of, either your walkthroughs of a listing or, utilizing one of the marketing videos that we have out there. Whatever it is, you want to get videos because that is in the algorithm for all these social media outlets as interesting and engaging. And the more engagement your post gets, the more Facebook and Instagram and all these things are going to say, oh, this is an interesting post. People are liking it. They're involved in it. We're going to send it out to more people. So that's your natural kind of audience that you're going to be able to build naturally. And then also you can always, pay for target advertising. So it goes to specific people and, getting them to like your stuff and whatever. So that's a whole nother realm. And then utilizing groups. So Facebook especially, you can actually categorize people into different groups. It's very easy to do. Colleen, do you have the steps on that?
Honestly, if you just literally type how to categorize my contacts in Facebook, it's like a series of 6 steps. You go to your news feed plus, it's literally 6 steps, but I have it broken down by recruits and past clients. And so if you just follow up and just like their stuff or comment on their stuff just twice a month, it's so easy to go into that folder and past clients. You're going to stay on top of mind. When you like someone's stuff and you comment, they're going to go back to your page. They're gonna and it's gonna, you're never gonna lose them future business by just doing this simple act. And then I did the other day, I liked one of the person's, my previous buyer client, and then I ended up picking up the phone and talking with her, and she's going to be looking for investment property, wanting to sell her house. Like it's just crazy how just like this mere act of liking something on her wall and then following up with a phone call just led to potential 2 more properties on the list. So it's doing that. But Facebook makes it really easy to do this like simple stuff, and then if following up with a phone call, you'll never lose your past clients.
And don't be afraid to go on some influential people's Facebook pages too, and just start requesting to be friends with some people that they know. You want to build your audience the best ways you can, and so don't be afraid. Like go through your whole Rolodex, go through your whole phone, go through whatever you have, and just start trying to get people to be your friend. Beg for friendships, and then start liking your business pages and whatnot, because that's ultimately what you're trying to do when you're marketing on, these social media networks. You've got to build your base. If you only have 200, 300, 400 friends, or even 1,000 friends, that is a small crowd. So the engagement's not going to be there, because they say you're only going to get 2 or 3% of when you post something organically. You're only going to get 2 or 3% that are going to see it, and less than that's going to share it. So out of that 1,000 people, that's only, a couple of people that are going to be doing that. And so you're not going to get in touch with their network. So you want to build your base. You want to make sure you have enough. Now, you want a business page for the simple fact that it's limitless of how many people you can have liking it and subscribing to it. You have a 5,000 person limit on your personal pages as far as friends you can have. So just keep that in mind as well. And the educational to sales should be about a 3 or 4 to 1 ratio. So for every 3 educational pieces, put in 1 sales piece of what you do, how you make it different, and who you're looking to meet to be able to sell to. All right, so that's social media. All right. That's it. So the pop-up networking is actually one of my favorite and most fun things to do. So this is the natural everyday person you're gonna meet, whether it's in the grocery store, whether it's the family function. I've tried to flip cold callers before, so they'll call me and they'll try to recruit me to EXP or wherever these other companies are, and I've tried to flip them and recruit them back to Exit. So those are some things you can have fun with. Servers at restaurants, you're always striking up a conversation with them, and sometimes they're interested in becoming a real estate agent. Sometimes they're looking for a rental apartment. Sometimes they're looking for a new house. So you're getting in conversations, but these are the everyday life conversations that could pop up. And here's how you kind of get ready and maximize it. So how you do it, especially looking at like a grocery line, you can just start with having a smile and saying nice hello, how you doing? Make a warm statement about something. So what I've usually seen is when Colleen does this, because if I do it, then they're like, are you hitting on me in front of your wife? That's kind of weird. But when Colleen does, she says stuff like, oh, I really like your dress. That color's awesome. Like, where'd you get it? Compliment. And then you can see their face just lights up. They get really like in a warm space, and they're willing to engage in a conversation. Men, it's usually, asking them a question. If, it's a grocery cart, like, oh, hey, do you like that ice cream? I haven't had that. It looks really good. Have you had that before? Do you recommend it? Blah, 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 stuff like that. But it just starts gauging them in a conversation. It's very nonchalant.
Actually,
and then,
sorry,
ahead, Colleen.
if men don't hear compliments ever. So if you just simply just try to compliment 3 people a day, I swear it will result in future business. But men especially, they hear compliments less than women. Just Rob's not there when I do those ones. But,
It's just fine. But if I'm complimenting a man, it just sounds a little different. So, just gauge the situation. I'm not gonna be like, hey, look, your butt looks good in those jeans, whatever. Like, it just sounds weird from a guy. So the guys talking to guys, starting out more of a conversation about something that they have like in their cart, or if you're in the Home Depot line, and I've done this before because I live at Home Depot now with a new house. but they, you're just like, oh, what project are you working on this weekend? Or I was walking through Home Depot yesterday actually, and I saw this guy just looking at the project that he was doing. I was like, I know that face. It's this is going to kill my weekend's project kind of face. And it's just kind of like a funny joke that you have, but you get started in the conversation, and that's that. So but the conversation does, then it sparks into commonalities, as you say, and then you can navigate the conversation usually towards some sort of some sort of real estate conversation, and it really helps if you're wearing your name badge. That's something that usually sparked it, because now that you've asked them a question or paid them a compliment, they want to return the favor and ask you something. So if you have something that they want to talk, or that they can easily be like, oh, I see you're in real estate, how's the market? That's just something that they're going to automatically go to. So if you're wearing your realtor badge or your realtor pin or your exit name badge, or an embroidered shirt, it's a conversation starter that they don't have to think about. They're naturally going to ask you about it, because they want to keep the conversation going generally, because you're just so nice. You made them feel good about themselves. They want more of that. So they're going to want to keep talking to you. You're giving them the ammunition by wearing something like that to start that conversation. And then, always be prepared with cards. We talk about, we've talked about in this slideshow a lot about needing to really be capturing the data so you can control the follow-up process. So the really good thing to do here is say, hey, listen, I would love to send you my mobile business card. That way, I know you have the receipts and all this stuff, on you. And I would like to, just so now it's in your phone, you don't have to worry about keeping my card somewhere. And so when you're, have any questions, you can just reach out and call me there. So that's also capturing their name and their phone number right in your Exit Resource Center. So that's a way for you to capture that data so you can control the follow-up process. All right, so questions, thoughts, ideas. We're just about 2 minutes over, so entertain anything you guys have. Did you like the presentation? Tell me anything what you learned, and maybe what you want to work on this week to do a couple of these things. Marsha, you went off mute, so I'm calling on you. What are you gonna try? Which one are you gonna try this week?
Well, I need to get a mobile business card is what I need to do.
You should have that today.
So that would be helpful.
Yeah.
And
watch your email for that welcome email from Exit. You should get that shortly.
Yeah, that would be helpful. And a business card too. And I was embarrassed that I needed to give a business card to someone the other day and I didn't have one. I was like,
Yeah.
And so.
That's okay.
That's when you can say, oh, I just made the switch to this wonderful company called Exit.
I did say that. I said, I just changed companies, and I'm embarrassed to say that I don't have my new business cards yet, because I just changed this week,
perfect.
just changed companies.
Yeah.
So, but I do have this other one I can give you, but then I looked in my purse and I didn't have any of those. And I was like, because I had just taken them all out and I was like, oh, really embarrassed.
Then you just take the name and phone number and say, as soon as they're up, I'll make sure I get you on.
Perfect. All right.
But what networking outlet do you want to try this week?
Which networking outlet? Well, I realized I haven't been utilizing, I'm in the Brevard Federation of Teachers retirees group, and I realized I haven't been utilizing that one as much as I should.
Yeah, that's a great one.
That kind of, I don't go to the, I go there and I, participate. I give what we do is we give, we used to go to the schools and give the toys and the stuffed animals and toys and books to the children in kindergarten, first grade and pre-K to the students. But now with COVID, we have to give them to the teachers instead. So we don't have the direct interaction with the people at school, but we do meet with people from the group.
Yeah.
So,
Well, the best thing about teachers is a lot of them, will buy, investment houses, and whatnot. I know a lot of teachers that do that on the side. So, they don't have their real estate license. They're working with someone. Why wouldn't they work with you? So get in with those teachers. Something that you might want to consider too is, putting on like a lunch and learn for the teachers, where they can either, you can talk about, the investment process or the sales process. You partner with a mortgage broker and they come in and they talk about all the options of funding available for teachers. So let's talk about that offline. We can help develop that. That'd be a really good one for you, especially if you're already in that kind of group.
mhm.
Bernadette, have you had any success with any of the networking groups or anything that you've tried? Because I know you were with you were doing a service one with the turtles at one point,
Yeah,
right?
so I do the Humane Society, the Turtle Conservation, and the beach cleanup stuff.
Mhm.
So for me, the social and the service networking is a lot more natural to me than the business. The business seems a little bit rigid and a little formal for my style. And I think that's kind of what all this boils down to is your own style. Like it's going to shine through if you're doing something that you enjoy. So I've joined the committee that's planning our annual block party here in the neighborhood. So that gives me, it's twofold. It's one, meeting with the committee and growing my network that way, but also it gives me another opportunity when I do my door knocking is to invite, engage, and inform about this block party while I'm there doing kind of my real estate thing. So and I've started wearing my name tag a lot more. Colleen had mentioned that about a month or so ago. We were somewhere together and it was after hours, and she said you should always wear your name tag. So I do wear it, and I think when people can make it out what it is, or they're interested in what it says, and then you tell them that you're a realtor, then you don't have to go into the awkward I'm a realtor conversation. You can just, they've already brought it up and there you're in. So I've found that to be a little bit more helpful. Where I don't do well is I don't close it and get their information. Like I do pass them my cards and I do keep my cards on hand and say, here's my card. If you or you know anyone, I do that whole thing, but I fail to get their information, and that's where I need to
I agree.
set up a little bit.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and that's definitely, I mean,
That's my
utilizing
weakness
that
as
mobile
well.
business. Oh, sorry, Marsha.
Yeah, that's my weakness as well, Bernadette. I agree with you totally.
Yeah, and I think, a simple way to fix that now is trying to utilize your mobile business card more. And that way you're automatically having to capture their name and phone number because that's the only way you can send it out. So, Rhonda, do you have any words of wisdom? You've been in the game for a while.
No, not really. This week I just accepted a position. I think it says treasurer of the Women's Realtors Council of something. And one of the reasons I did it was because I realized I really wasn't a part of very many service type organizations. So that's something that is my goal to definitely be more involved for the upcoming year.
Great. All right. Well, I love it. Well, thank you very much for joining. And if you have any other questions, I'll hang out and answer them. I'll stop recording, and then yeah, otherwise I'll talk to you guys all later.
Thank you, Rob.